So I flew out with the family, and we basically, long story short, we pieced it all together. Unfortunately, Todd, it appeared, saw these waves and couldn't resist giving it a shot. He went out there
Mhm.
to video with his video camera, but he couldn't resist giving it a shot, and it was too much for him to handle. And somebody found his surfboard washed ashore at a beach. There was a beach. He lived in a town called Kihei, Maui, and he worked in a town about 45 minutes north of there called Lahaina. And there's a surfing spot in Lahaina called Breakwall. And
Mhm.
he had been out there. They found his car in a kind of buried in a parking lot. He had this little tiny, I forget what kind of car it was, but a kid had found his surfboard washed ashore, just figured somebody left their surfboard and he took it home. We didn't know about that until Thanksgiving. This was 2003. And they had, by the time we got there, there were divers searching the water for him and everything.
Mm.
And we got his car towed into the parking garage of the company he was working at. And Ikuko flew in from Japan, and she opened up the trunk and she just collapsed to the ground because we were hoping, we hadn't been able to find his cell phone or anything. So we
Mm.
figured wherever he is, his cell phone's going to be.
Mhm.
So we got the trunk open and she found his towel in there, an unrolled towel, and his phone was in his towel. And that was just like, oof, yeah, we know
Mhm.
he had gone into the water and never came back. So yeah, it's still, that was in 2003, 22 years later, it still feels weird.
So sorry to keep talking about it, but so they ever find him from the
No,
surfing?
no,
Really?
his body was never found. They pieced
Really?
together. So yeah, so his friend Matt, who had taught him how to surf, we talked to him, and he said that the only thing he could think of, the actual location, which was a little further down south from Breakwall, he said that the location that the kid found his surfboard, which the reason we got that back was because they put Todd's face and a picture of his surfboard on the news, on the local news, said this is a missing surfer, we're looking for him. The kid who brought the surfboard home had it in his basement. His mom saw the news and said, "Hey, that surfboard you found at the beach the other day belongs to a missing surfer. You need to turn that into the police." So he did, and that's how we got the surfboard back. But the divers, they never found him.
Nothing,
Matt
huh?
said that he thinks what most likely happened where he was, there were some really shallow coral reefs in that area,
Mm.
and he thinks what happened was, with these big waves, they come in and then all of a sudden they would lull for a little while. And
Mm.
then they would suddenly pick back up again unexpectedly. So what he thinks
Mhm.
Todd probably did, because he went out alone, he would go out early in the morning, surf a little bit, and then he'd go to work because
Mhm.
his job was right up the street from where he surfed. So he thinks that Todd was videoing the surfers, saw one of these lulls and thought, "Oh, I can go out there now
Saw
and
the
say
little ones and thought he could handle
yeah,
it. And
thought he could handle it." And then
mm.
one of these big waves just came up out of nowhere and probably just took him down right into the coral reef. And he probably
Mm.
didn't even know it hit him and then washed him out into the sea. So,
Sorry to hear that, man. That's
yeah,
a
thanks.
tragic, tragic story. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough. He was like a little
Mhm.
brother to me.
Yeah.
I kind of referred to him as my younger older brother. He was
Mhm.
a little younger than me, but he was always wiser and smarter and more mature than ever was. And and so, and we were buddies, we got along really
Mhm.
well, and
Mhm.
we had fun working together for all the years that we worked together. And I'm still very much in contact with his family. In fact,
Nice.
his dad got my wife a job where she works now, at the insurance company, and which is what has allowed me to do magic full time. Because after
Mhm.
that, kind of getting more back to your question about
Mhm.
how I started to make this my living, and the act itself, I knew
Mhm.
going back to solo again, I wasn't going to be able to do the big stage illusions. Um,
Mhm.
and I didn't have I had a van for a little while, but that stuff takes a lot to haul around and set
Mhm.
up and everything. So I started doing more anything that I could fit in my sedan, the
Mhm.
parlor act. So I
Mhm.
started kind of doing the thing that magicians do most commonly these days. We call it the pack small plays big act. Anything
Sure.
that's small that can fit in a small case or whatever, but could play on a stage in front of a bunch of people, that's
Right.
what I try to work into my
Right.
act. Those are the kind of things I do first.
Well, nice tribute to your friend, man. That was a nice story, and I mean, sad story, but a nice tribute to remember him by, and always keep him in your mind as you're doing your shows. So,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
still, that's kind of what I've always said. I always feel like he's right there, at my
Mm-hmm.
side when I'm
Mm-hmm.
performing, and that's why I kept officially named the company. I didn't have the an official name for the company until after this happened in 2003,
Mm-hmm.
and I called the name of the company TNZ Magic now. So
Well, good for
I still
you.
keep his initial in it and everything.
Well, that's nice of you to do that, man. Nice tribute to your friends. So.